Isaac Sonko. I'm one of the Lead Brothers TV show hosts. And with me today in the studio is Micheal Mugambe of Immigrants. Yes, at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Sonko, for hosting me here. My name is Micheal Mugambe Mpima. Interestingly, Mpima is not my official name, but because my father was a well-known artist, I happened to get that name by default. So I'm also Mpima. I've been in social work or social service for 13 years, and I started it from Uganda in a small village called Napak in Karamoja district, in Karamoja region, up to today.
Okay, that's good. We have a lot of people coming in, and they usually have issues, either political persecution back home, to mention but a few, and they really do not know how to start with asylum-related issues. And with us here, if we have you, we know we got all answers to our questions. For starters, what is immigration? What's the difference between immigration and asylum?
Well, that's a good question. Much as I'll start by making a disclaimer that I'm not a lawyer, I'm not someone from the legal field, but at least in my line of service, I've worked with immigrants. I have worked with asylum seekers, victims of human trafficking, and refugees. I have some knowledge, but not technical or legal knowledge that can win a case. If you want anything or any kind of advice, your lawyer or legal advisor is the best person to go to. Immigration and asylum seekers, it's the same literally, but immigration or immigrants, it's broader. Asylum seekers are also immigrants. Just like you see, refugees are also immigrants, or victims of human trafficking, or tourists. All those are immigrants. So by explaining the word immigration, that's immigration. Folks who leave their countries and go to another countries, either temporal or permanent. For asylum seekers, they are running away from persecution. They're seeking sanctuary from threats and persecution, probably because of their identity, their language, their political views, something like that.
Okay.
And I think most of the immigration from Uganda, I'll speak to that, has been, we've had refugees and asylum seekers mostly, and our communities full of those. But we also have definitely those who win green cards and comfortably arrive to this country.
Yeah, I stand to be corrected. You work with Downtown Emergency Services as a service coordinator.
That's right.
Someone would want to know, what exactly does this organization do? What are your duties like?
I think I'll answer that by by telling you all the positions that I hold.
Okay, that's good.
But Downtown Emergency Service Center is one of my jobs. I do that at night as a service coordinator. I work with folks who have no permanent housing or who do not have homes and houses, but at the same time use controlled substances. That's my line of work. But the organization that I founded 2.5 years ago, it's called Immigrant Guide.
Okay.
In 2 years, we've had a big growth in terms of our services, our membership, our clientele. Mm-hmm. We work with immigrants and asylum seekers, refugees, and the victims of human trafficking. And we are based in Seattle, Washington.
Okay, so you started Immigrant Guide.
I started Immigrant.
So I think our focus should be on Immigrant Guide.
I think so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I think that's where the focus now should be. So he started Immigrant Guide. How many years back? How long have you been in existence?
2 years and a half.
2 years and a half.
We haven't hit the half, but I should say 2 years.
2 years and a half. So the community of Los Angeles, California, the Ugandan community should be our focus. Have you interacted? How have they benefited from the Immigrant Guide? And are there people, in terms of numbers, are there Ugandans that you've helped through Immigrant Guide, and how has it been?
With Immigrant Guide, we have been offering referrals to social services, and actually, let me speak to how we managed to start it and why we started it. Yeah. Personally, when I arrived to this country, I faced a lot of challenges in terms of navigating systems and getting resources. You will find that asylum seekers, we do not have that privilege of arriving to this country with everything well set. No. We hustle it up. We base our knowledge, our resettlement on folks who've been here already, who have gone through the same experience. That isn't different from what I went through. I wouldn't like any other immigrant to face the same. When I was doing my master's at the University of Washington, in one of my classes, we were challenged to start a project that is community-centered, community-inclusive, and self-sustainable. My story was used as a ground to start a project like this. And I envisioned every immigrant in the United States, and potentially outside the US, to use it to access social services. We started developing a mobile phone application that is going to be used. Yes, it's been almost 2 years trying to build it, but every time we've rolled it out, we've found glitches, we've found issues with the community, so we've always pulled it back, because one, by the time we bring it out, for it to be top-notch, let me say. So immigrants in California and Washington State have already benefited from our programming and our services by getting referrals. Today, we are giving out free money as COVID relief.
Okay, so have you heard that? We are giving out free money.
Yes. Go to our website, www.immigrantguide.org, and apply. But unfortunately, this first round, we are only focusing on Washington State. But we are looking at the next round to focus on the entire Pacific coast. That's Oregon, Washington, and California.
Okay.
We are giving out free masks. Wherever you are, just go to our website and apply for a mask. We are going to send you a box of masks. And recently we've brought out also masks for children between 5th grade and 11th grade or 12th grade. I don't remember very well. So those are the things really. Oh, another one. We are helping immigrants who want to enroll to college apply. The biggest problem we are having, many want to enroll in colleges, especially graduate school, but they don't know where to start. They don't know how to write a personal statement. That isn't different from my experience. That's why we started that pathway to help immigrants, especially Africans.
Okay, so Immigrant Guide is basically it's based in Seattle, Washington.
It's best in Seattle right now.
Okay. Yeah. So in terms of challenges, how would you relate the immigrants in Washington vis-a-vis the immigrants in California? Are there similarities? Are there differences in terms of numbers? In Washington, are there many that you're helping out, or there are many that you get from California?
Challenges are always the same, trust me. It's most especially in the last 4 years of the administration we had. I don't want to mention the name, but you all know how 45 treated immigrants. Our challenges were the same. The numbers differ, because we are based in Washington,
we have more numbers
there. And less, except for those who want to enroll in school and those who want referrals, yes, from California we receive them a lot. But when it comes to direct social services like case management, we receive more of Washington residents.
Okay. That takes me to my next question on housing. What kind of work do you do? Do you have programs that relate to homeless housing? Do you do anything to do with housing, homelessness? Yeah.
That's a good question. Right now, the biggest project we have is the COVID-19 relief fund that we are paying rent for people who've been impacted by COVID. You well know folks ran out of employment, lost jobs, businesses shut down. So that's the number one project I can speak to right now. But we definitely also offer referrals to other non-profit organizations. You just go to our website and contact us. A case manager will definitely reach out and they offer you resources where you can get housing like shelter. But to us, that's not the limit. We are envisioning a community that is self-sustainable, whereby everyone is having a home. When you look at how immigrants survive in the diaspora, almost 90% or 80% of them are homeless, or they don't have homes. We sub-rent or we sub-lease. And when you sub-lease, and at the same time you are not on the lease, it means you have no rights to sleep in that particular home. So you are homeless, literally or technically. We are looking at helping these folks navigate systems because there are resources. And these are some of the things our community organizations like QCOC and UNA and PANWA and ETC in all regions where we live are supposed to do. But unfortunately, probably we lack some technical understanding of what these organizations are supposed to do. So we believe that's what we are supposed to work on and help our immigrants permanently resettle. Without a home, you haven't permanently settled yet.
Okay. I think you've answered that brilliantly, very, very well. Now it takes me to the component of sustainability. Mm-hmm. It is key in your program work. Mm-hmm. Sustainability is key. Mu Baganda we have that saying nti otwala omuntu kiba kirungi n'otwala omuntu n'omuyigiriza okuvuba than omuwanga ebyennyanja. To our African immigrants, how are you? What programs do you have as an organization to see to it that these people are able to sustain themselves than depending on either cash out or running to organizations like yours?
One, our program that helps immigrants enroll in colleges, vocational schools, etc. to advance their culture, their careers. Sorry, not culture. That program is called Career Pathways by Immigrant Guide.
Career Pathways.
Career Pathways. We managed to put together a team of volunteers. These are people who have navigated systems and enrolled themselves in big universities, written personal statements and helped others. They review. If you want to enroll in a college, you just have to come to our website, send an email. Someone will contact you. We request for more information from you, where you want to go, why you want to study that course. We ask for your story. Or sometimes we ask you to write a personal statement and we get to review it. We can also advise based on your grades in high school or in your bachelor's, you do not qualify for this particular school, but these schools will be able to take you on. So we make sure that folks enroll because that's our goal, and we give them the guidance. Some of us didn't get that privilege. Number two, we have created safe spaces for immigrants to engage in conversations that help them grow and resettle, literally, because knowledge is power.
That's good.
And without knowledge, you cannot survive, especially in this country.
Yeah.
It's all about where to go, how, and when.
Information is power, we usually say so.
And for us, our approach is the community is rich in terms of information, because we have a lot of informal, formal information that, hey, if you do not have documents, you can survive like this. You can get a few dollars from here. Hey, you can do this. That is informal information, but it's formal in our community. So we are leveraging such information within these safe spaces for communities to share. And that's how we build a strong community. Immigrants, especially African immigrants, if we continue living in enclaves, in community pockets, we are not going to be able to share out this information to folks who need it. And that's what we've leveraged and created these safe spaces through the Independence Summit, number one. Two, through the community dialogue events. Recently, we just organized a dialogue between African Americans and African immigrants. So this
in Seattle, Washington?
It was all over, and we received attendance from all over all the states in the United States. Okay. So that's the power of creating safe spaces for immigrants to talk about issues that matter in their communities.
Okay, yeah, that takes me to this very wonderful question. 2 years in existence as an organization, I know you've faced a number of challenges. What have been those key challenges you've faced as Immigrant Guide?
Thank you. And my community, I'm going to say this, but do not take me wrong. But just like Moses in the Bible wasn't well welcomed by his people. The Israelites later diverted and started worshiping other gods, and he felt, no, he went back to God and like, hey, they are worshiping idols. The same case with Jesus. It's his people who killed him. I don't feel that Ugandans have welcomed or have embraced Immigrant Guide and our services the way our Kenyan community, the way our Gambian community, and Rwandese community have welcomed it.
Why?
It's interesting. I don't know
why. Why would that be the case?
It baffles me.
Have you done research to find out why Ugandans are not?
Interestingly,
why the Ugandans are not supporting a fellow Ugandan?
I think we have a lot of politics in our community. And that,
in Seattle, Washington?
No, in California. Do you know why I was...
So what you're saying, Uganda and California are not...
The Ugandans are...
But in Seattle, everything is moving on.
In Seattle, everything is perfectly moving.
But in California...
we have received politics. Some kind of resistance, which is a little bit political. And I'll be honest, those who know me, Mkuba Kunyama. So... Ugandans in California haven't embraced the idea of Immigrant Guide very well because of our politics, definitely. And which is also understandable that whenever, I'm kind of selective in my words, but some folks feel like, oh, if someone has a kind of perspective or belief or side on community issues, they're not going to take us in, probably. You remember what we had with UCOC when folks tried to abrogate the Constitution here. And definitely I was one of the key advocates. I'm like, we cannot use tribalism to abrogate the Constitution to enrich our selfishness and advance our selfish desires. Folks, that didn't go well, but it's disturbing.
You know, the truth is, politics is one of the key elements that is affecting development of the community here in California. But I would want to I think, side with you, and I know you believe politics is a dirty game.
I believe politics is a dirty game, but we are the dirty people who play politics.
And you're a seasoned politician.
I'm a seasoned politician.
Young Democrat. Something.
Yes, I'm a member, proudly a young Democrat.
So politics has affected the work of Immigrant Guide in a way.
Yes, community politics.
Sorry, community politics.
Yeah.
So what measures do you have in place as the boss, the big man, to try and see that politics does not endanger, does not keep you off track on realizing your goals as an organization?
Just like I told you, it's us, the dirty people, who play politics, and we end up calling it a dirty game. Because politics has politics. If it's played by ethical people with values, with proper ambitions, we would have a clean political environment. But when it's played by sectarians, chauvinists, people who believe in themselves alone and their tribes, etc., or to enrich their selfish desires, it becomes a dirty game. So for us, for me as an individual who believes that every man is a political animal, like Aristotle says, I would just go ahead and do what is required to do. We've survived 24 months doing outreach, and folks have ended up coming, realizing our potential, noticing that if it's time for politics, well, we come out as seasoned politicians and play the politics. We play the UNA politics, we play the UCOC politics. And when it comes to community service, we come back and serve our communities genuinely.
Yeah, so I know there is politics also in Seattle.
Yes.
How is it played that way, that it's not affecting the kind of work you do as an organization? And what would be those best practices you would pick from there to sell them, to utilize them in California, probably? Because people are learning and hearing from you. Probably you would need to show us, okay, we do this in Seattle and we could buy it or use it in California, and to see to it that, guys, we develop our community.
Dynamics differ.
Context,
community dynamics, and thank you, context.
Yeah, context.
You will find that in Washington, people play politics, but there is a sense of unity.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Community, yeah, I get it.
A sense of community.
Yeah.
And community not as community, but and unity. The unity.
Yeah.
So there is that sense. In California, people play politics ng'abantu beeyuza
kubira ddala ku nnyama
kuba ku nnyama omuntu
afiirawo
akuyuza ennyama paka ku gomba. So
yes.
Without caring, without think about your career, think about your family. Like we are that strong in kind of our beliefs and approach to community politics. So those are the dynamics.
Anyway, yeah, so thank you for at least elaborating, but I would want us to now move away a little bit from the politics.
Thank you.
I want us to look at this case study now. This young man has arrived from Lax, ingiddewo maybe abudde Uganda either Seattle or Lax is here, so katwale case study of California. Azze atuusa ali wano ayingidde mu community ayina okwetereza atandikira wa obviously ayina okuteekamu okusaba asylum, probably katugambe is politically persecuted back home. Tutwa just omuntu mutangaze, there could be someone watching us ngali mu mbeera eyo yatuuse waali ayina okuteekamu naye tamanyi kituufu kyakola, ayina kubira your organization, ayina kukola atya, like what could be the process
right now? If such a person happens to know about Immigrant Guide,
yeah,
go ahead and give us a call. Our case managers, our volunteers will reach out to you and give you resources based on your location, where you are. We have this big database of organizations, and recently we've been sending our new arrivals in California to Program for Torture Victims, which has PTV,
yeah,
which has really helped immigrants, especially Ugandan immigrants, in all aspects of all areas of their resettlement here.
So PTV has a branch in Seattle?
No.
Oh,
PTV,
they're only based here?
They're only based here in Los Angeles and Orange County.
Orange County.
Yes.
Okay.
So such a person, that's number one, contacting us directly. Number two, you can reach out to your community leaders. Though that has been, especially now Ugandan community, being challenged by the differences we have in politics these days, you know.
Yeah.
But in the past, when I was still a resident, I'm still a resident here. When I was still physically living here in California, that's what used to happen. UCOC used to be a strong resource in helping new arrivals and directing them to social services that are available. One caution, do not pay people money to write your stories. Most of the challenges we've had have been folks who have given money to people. Some of them don't know how to write or express themselves well in the English language. And they have ended up receiving stories that do not align with their political persecution stories, because such stories were not written by professionals. So that's the caution I would like to.
Okay, that's very good, and I think the viewers out there, you're listening in very well. How do you help out illiterate immigrants? Because you've just mentioned people writing for your story, people abantu basoma. How simanyi kuwandika sasoma, I'm illiterate. Like, how do we go about it?
No, we don't do that. But we have professionals, we have lawyers in our network that we can connect you. And here, we send you direct to PTV because PTV has all these contacts. All these contacts with lawyers, very good lawyers.
Yeah, at least I know a number of people who have gone through PTV
and PTV will help you if you are living in California. Don't jeopardize your case and give it to an individual to do that for you. And if you're in Seattle, Washington, contact us. There are lawyers that we can send you to. Some are pro bono, some are non pro bono, but terms definitely can be made so that in the future you pay, especially for lawyers that are not pro bono. For those who are pro bono, yeah, it's a good deal. They will do everything free of charge.
Okay, thank you, Wanampima. I would want to thank you again because at least you're knowledgeable on the subject, and that is very, very important. There is a question that has come in from one of the listeners out there. Biden's new immigration law provides an 8-year pathway to citizenship. What would you and the organization do to help an immigrant sustain through the 8 years?
That's a good question. Much as I'm not going to answer it as a professional or as a lawyer, but I'll answer it as
a social worker
or a lay person working with immigrants. Biden's path to citizenship applies to those who are undocumented, to those who
are those undocumented. Probably someone may not understand that.
Thank you. Yeah, these words are confusing.
Yeah, they are confusing words.
If you arrive to this country legally, you have a passport, you got a visa, arrive to LAX, SeaTac or Dallas Airport, you are a legal immigrant. You are either out of status or you are probably something, but at least you are a legal immigrant.
It's clear now.
You arrived here in legal ways. It's your status now that matters. But if you jumped a wall, you yes, those who swim to the beaches, you are undocumented. I don't want to say illegal immigrant because we don't have illegal immigrants. So you are undocumented. You don't have legal documents. Or you don't have actually documents. So that's what happens. Biden's law mostly applies to those categories, but if you applied for asylum, your path to citizenship is clear. After your interview, you have, assuming you've been granted, you have 1 year to get your green card, and after that you have 5 years to qualify for citizenship.
If I'm not granted, what step do I take?
Okay.
Because they asked me that question.
If you are not granted,
again, interview, they told me immigration court.
That's asylum denied. Well, there is what you just said. You are sent to the immigration court. Now you have to convince the judge that you qualify to be in this country as an asylum seeker. But well, we have great lawyers, and I've come across great lawyers who request for second immigration interviews, because they believe the first interview was biased. If you get a lawyer like that, well, you can attend a second interview, and if you have chances, well, you.
Wow, I'm hearing about the issue of the second interview from you. I've not heard it from anyone else.
I've had two cases.
So there is a room for a second interview.
Yes, I've had 2 cases where lawyers have challenged the first interview.
Wow.
And they've ended up receiving the second interview. Wow. So it depends on your case and how the lawyer perceived the first interview when it was conducted. So
okay, Bwana Mpima, time is not our best ally. Being in America, I know you're supposed to be going here somewhere, and everyone has to do ABCD.
Yeah.
So I want us to rush a little bit through a few things here. We are young people. I know young people. I don't know whether in America. I don't know about the statistics, but back home in Uganda, our population, I think 75% or more are young people. If I want to bring that back here, more so with Immigrant Guide, do you have programs that are tailored toward supporting young immigrants, specifically in a minute, that are tailored for young immigrants?
We do not have. We do not have.
It's just a bracket of everyone.
A bracket of everyone, but I should say the safe spaces that we create for immigrants to talk about issues of community importance. It's one of the avenues we believe immigrants are going to receive the information they need to better themselves while living in this country.
Thank you very much.
Outside this country.
Thank you very much. How many people does Immigrant Guide employ?
Right now we have 2 full-time employees.
2 full-time.
And 8 volunteers. Or actually, out of the 8 volunteers, we have 4 interns given to us by universities or from universities. Okay. One of them is a graduate student, and the 3.
So just give me a total of everyone. 15?
We are 10 direct.
Direct and indirect, what's the total?
10 staff, I should say, including interns and volunteers. But at the same time, we have 6 board of directors.
16. Those are 16
The 6 board of directors and the 10 direct staff.
Okay. Of the 16, how many are Ugandans?
Of the 16...
16, that's the many board of directors. Okay. How many of those are Ugandans?
Okay, on the board we have 4 Ugandans.
Good.
And on the team of 10, we have 5 Ugandans.
Thank you very much. Achievements, just 3 key achievements in the 3 years you've been in operation.
Well, we have managed, in 24 months, we have managed to fundraise $250,000.
Okay.
And these
guys have money.
These dollars are coming back to you, the community. And you've seen we've already given out some of that money, and we are still giving out. If you haven't applied for that Visa card, it's a very beautiful, I wish I came with it here. It's a beautiful Immigrant Guide Visa card that you receive in the mail when you apply for COVID-19 relief.
Okay.
The other achievements we have put individuals in college. That actually should be the first one. We have helped individuals enroll in graduate school. We have helped immigrants get social services through referrals. And also we are building and supporting the community. In the next few weeks, we are going to open vaccination clinics in Seattle, Washington, whereby we're going to vaccinate African immigrants, including Ugandans, who haven't been vaccinated. So that's also another achievement. It should be rolled out in the next 2 or 3 weeks, inshallah.
Okay. For purposes of transparency, if someone would want to know what's your source of funding.
Our source of funding, usually individuals like you. Actually, our very, very first year, the first year I was still in school, my first donor was my classmate. He gave me $2,000. Okay. Then we...
Individuals, so you have individuals?
That year, the first 12 months, individuals like you, like everyone, community leaders, gave us the 512 because they wanted the mobile phone application to come live. We fundraised 30,000.
Wow.
30,000 US dollars.
Wow.
And in the next 12 months, to make it 24 months, we have managed to fundraise 220,000, which makes it to $250,000 US in the 24 months. And I usually, when I talk about this, I usually bring it back to our communities. Our communities have survived in this country for 30 years, for 20 years, for 15 years, 10 years. How many grant applications or donors have we contacted, have we written, have we submitted? It's a challenging question that I'm inviting everyone to reflect upon. That next time when you are electing a leader in office, in your community, think about what they are bringing on the plate. Not just politics, but social service.
That's very good. We have a lot of questions coming in from online. I'm going to be reading them. But before I read these, I have this last question from me. In the next 5 years, where do you see Immigrant Guide?
In the next 5 years, our unique application will be up and running, and it will not only be serving immigrants in the United States, but all over the world, including immigrants to Uganda, immigrants to Africa, because that's what we are building. Number 2, we are looking at an organization that is a one-stop center for all immigrant needs. We are looking at an organization that is going to impact a diaspora, impact the African diaspora mostly, regardless of which state you are living in.
Okay. Now, njagala kusoma obubaka bw'abantu because there's a lot of questions, issues coming in. This one is coming in from Millie, living in Uganda. No Uganda, see a message. Does Immigrant Guide help people right from Uganda so that before they get here and spend a lot of time settling in?
We do not help you migrate, that's number 1. But if you are a victim of persecution and you are seeking sanctuary, there are some organizations we can refer you to, including some of those organizations that we trust in Uganda. But there is nothing much we can do unless you arrive at any of the ports, maybe airports.
Okay.
But when you're in Uganda, the only thing we can do is referring you to the right services.
Okay. This is John Bosco Gamulengeja from Boston. How can immigrants here carve a way into local politics as their way to serve and uplift their new communities?
That's a good question, and that's one big area we need to engage our communities in. There are always programs by minority organizations, and with minority I'm talking about black, all minority organizations that train immigrants to engage in politics here. I'll just give you an example. In Seattle, we have a project, a training that I've personally attended when I was still in school. It helps people like me to engage in politics. And you can start with being a board member, a school board member. Then you go to a council member. It's all about passion. Just learn what your community needs and what your community is.
Okay.
That's how you can gradually navigate the ladders.
Okay, this next question is coming in from Rachel Nalutaya, California Northridge. For sexual inclined asylums, do you help them settle in communities where they are welcome? Do you work with LGBTQs organizations here? Two in one. Yeah.
Yes, actually, we have a big number of LGBTQ plus identified individuals. We do not discriminate based on sexuality or sexual orientation or tribe or gender. We welcome everyone. What matters, are you an immigrant? Period. We refer you to the organization that can give you the services that you need. For sexual, what's it?
These LGBTQs organizations.
It was only about LGBTQs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you work with them?
We work with everyone. We work with the LGBT community.
Okay. This one is coming in from Stella Navakoza. Could you please shed light on the public charge law for immigrants who received unemployment throughout the COVID-19 shutdown?
I think the public charge law has been recently lifted by the Biden administration. I think, and I need to be clear, but I remember reading something like that. It has been lifted. Okay. And that was it's one of the odd, the ambiguous laws that was released by the number 54, the former administration, which is really odd. So long as you do not abuse the services offered out by your state and the federal government, you are good. To non-profit organizations, no non-profit organization is going to report to the federal government. Like for us, we don't report to the federal government, even if they come and knock on our doors. We don't. So look out for those non-profit organizations that give you assurance. And I know other organizations like PTV, they tell you they do not deal with the federal government in terms of reporting. So, but do not go to the state unless the state says that undocumented immigrants and other immigrants, asylum seekers, they can apply, but do not do anything creepy or defraud the federal government. I think you will not victim of that law.
Yeah, as we come, ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the end of our show, with me today I've had a brother, a colleague, a seasoned politician, a peace builder, 13 years experience in social work,
a theater instructor.
Wedangezaako kukajjukira naye nga nkeerabidde. So omwami ono mukugu nnyo mu bintu by'okutegeera. I think anything related to immigration, and we've been discussing quite a number of things. But as we end, any parting shot that you would have, like,
we are a community, and a community always has its own differences and dynamics. Let our differences as a community not deter us from the oneness we are supposed to have. Because we leave our countries and arrive here using someone's tribe, ethnic group, political affiliation as a basis of discriminating that individual. It's inhuman. And I'm speaking this because most especially the Ugandan community has been divided. And I'll give an example here in California. Not because of anything, because of political differences, because of tribes, because of ethnic differences, and that is not who we are. It doesn't define us. What defines us is the Ubuntu theory.
Yeah.
And that's who we are. I am because we are. So I invite all Ugandans in California and other states to look at ourselves as one. To me, that's the parting message, but at the same time, folks in Seattle, Washington, hey, come for those dollars, we are still giving out money. Come for those masks, we are still giving out those dollars. And I'll just give you another thing, like I'm standing for vice president
of UNA?
Uganda North America Association. It's time to serve and not play politics. Vice president position, it's one of the big positions in the organization. Your position is serving a programming, ibintu nga byetukola mu immigrant guide. Ekifo kya vice president kyekirikola mu UNA. And that's where I want to come and bring my expertise and bring my experience so that we can change our community from the bottom up.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, as we end, I would want to use this opportunity to thank everyone who has been vital in supporting us to have this show live today, and all our sponsors, not forgetting Location Group Motors Inc., Promises Delivered. Bane byagala emotoka empya, address 7905 Anais Boulevard, Unit 225, Panorama City. Boyinza omukubira Kasimu, Director Kasimu, 7853043169. And all other sponsors bane tubebaza nnyo. Last but not least, how can we help our community leaders here get funds like you've mentioned? Yeah, as you answer this, you need also to give us details of like contact details of immigrant guide and mamanye website, contact number. Right. Yes, nechibuzo kino mojo kizingira as we wind up.
We have lots of databases that have grants. Like for us, Immigrant Guide, we use Grant Watch. But there are others. I cannot get any off my head. But if you are a community leader, my number is 818-461-4550. I'm going to repeat it. 818-461-4550. Call me. I will give you access to some of those databases that we have so that you can identify grants and apply for them. That's number one. Number two, connections. Reach out to your community. There is nothing like, there is nothing that makes impact like money given to you from individuals and not those funding sources. If every Ugandan in California offered $1, and I believe we are like 4,000 here, offers $1, that's $4,000. And you know how much that can do? $4,000 can create an impact, can organize a lot of events that Ugandans can benefit from in terms of getting resources. Two, partnerships. Being a community organization, don't just sit. And to you leaders, don't just run away with people's organization to your bedrooms and pillows. Reach out to organizations around us. Create those partnerships. The community foundations, every city in this country has got community foundations. Like my city, we have community foundation of Snohomish County, and they've helped us a lot in finding these resources. We've had the Seattle Foundation that has helped us get all these resources. So I'm advising you or inviting you to go to those organizations and create relationships, partnerships. That's how you are going to know how to approach those resources, and they'll help you maybe write grants. And if you receive that grant and you need some extra expertise, advice, reach out to me. We can do that.
Yeah, I think for our leaders in California, what I'm picking from him is that it's important for you leaders to build synergies if you're to develop our community. Reach out to him and let's connect and love each other. That's
and I will go ahead and give out our website.
Yeah,
www.immigrantguide.org or .org. Our email address is info@immigrantguide.org. My number is 818-461-4550. You can only call during office hours because at night.
You're a married man, I can see. So, Madamu,
my wife. And I will also send greetings to my only one, Micheal Mugambe.
Wow.
And my son, Abba Subi Chebe Mugambe.
Okay, thank you very much. Banange, what the host nange, I want to I want to use this opportunity for the very first time to send greetings to my lovely wife, Juliet Mbatude, my daughter, Gabriela, Raphael. Yeah. Kakati, as we end, thank you very much, Bwana Mugambe.
Thank you, House.
You know, mu theater mwendi. Naliko best actor in 2004, Seta High School. Na hii nabivamu sila bawanya anamuza. So, but we need to be a theater. But I want to take this opportunity on behalf of our viewers out there to thank you, one, for your time and for your information that you've shared. I think colleagues out there have learned a lot. We're going to be bombarding you with a lot of questions online and there. I told you looking at immigrant guide. Nature, from your office, ya Kalirus, ya California, because man, we have numbers here, we have numbers in Boston. I would want to suggest. We
are just 24 months old. Much as we seem to be extremely big, but we are looking at expanding to other states in the near future, at least putting representatives, folks who are going to be there to represent us, and these folks will be trustable, will be trained, will be facilitated.
Okay, thank you very much. Just like our Facebook page, Elite Brothers TV, Quest, Elite Brothers TV show, and Quest TV, because you have two circle program. We know we have to link Facebook, Twitter, Sujui, what? YouTube. From now and onwards. I would want to sign out now and say, bye bye until next time.